All right. Welcome back to another episode of the No Risk, No Glory podcast. And today I have a very, very special guest. Um, I'm going to introduce her as Roksana Cieplowska, the owner and operator of the, what's the name of your
Highest Self-Love Life Coaching.
Highest Self-Love Life Coaching. Yes. So she is an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, but she's also my wife and the mother of our 3-year-old daughter. And so let me say thank you, my love, Roksana, for being on the show with me, and for giving us a perspective into your life. Yeah, welcome. You have anything to say about being on the podcast?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I was looking forward to being on your podcast. And in all honesty, I was hoping I'd be the first guest, but sometimes it's not the way things roll. In any event, thank you.
But the important thing is that you're here today with us. And the point of the chat today is to give a glimpse into what it's like to be married to an entrepreneur, a business minded individual, and also for me to ask you, like, what are some of the challenges that you face, and some of the stuff that you've had to overcome over the last year and a half to 2 years, with your own business. So let me first ask you this: how long have you been doing the personal coaching or the life coaching? And was it easy to get into it, or have you been faced with some challenges, at least so far?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you. I think those are all really important questions. I've been in the life coaching business for about 6 years now. Although I felt like I was just naturally life coaching, all my friends and family around me for a very long time. It just seemed like people were always trying to, gauge my mind or my perspective, or just ask me professional questions on what they should do in certain situations. And in a way, I felt it a very natural progression, and I felt like that's what my calling was to do.
Okay. So, I mean, look, I know you pretty well. I can say that. And you're definitely somebody who takes their time and thinks about things before you go and do them, which is completely different than the way I operate, because I just want to do stuff, and then if I have to like change it up. But like when it comes to personal coaching, right? Like, what gave you the sense that that people are going to take you seriously when it comes to actually coaching them, and that you come from somewhere, or you have some kind of pedigree or some reason for people to believe and trust the fact that you're going to be able to give them good, solid, valuable advice?
I think the first key thing is to believe that you as an individual have something very valuable and very special to share with other people. And I think many of us go through life waiting until we do something big or accomplish something big in order to be a coach, but it's often not like that. And yeah, in some cases it is. And I think everyone's experience in life is valuable, and all it takes is you just believing that you can coach another person based on the struggles that you went through in life. And we all face struggles. And I think that very belief in that conviction that you are here to help other people and give them tools or resources, framework, advice, a listening ear, guidance, accountability is important. And in the end, I think people really value that.
Mhm, 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 mhm. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a very good point. Um, let me switch it up a little bit and ask you. Okay, so I mean, you know me. Obviously, you've seen me through my struggles, and you've seen some of the challenges that I've faced, right? So first off, as a life coach, so not as my wife, but as a life coach, right? What are some of the things that you like? What are some of the characteristics, okay, that you believe every entrepreneur, every business owner, anybody who is, thinking of going off on their own, what characteristics should they possess in order to be, or in order to be likely successful in the endeavor that they're going to kind of go off on?
Mhm. First and foremost, self-belief in yourself. It doesn't matter what business you're in, what you're trying to create or start, you have to believe yourself over anyone else. And, often we see even close family members tell us, that's never going to work out, or this is not the right time. It's a pandemic. I've known so and so and it didn't work out for them. I think you should try something else. So it's really self belief and staying true to your vision. So that's number one. Number two is self discipline. If you don't have self discipline in yourself, then there's nothing else you can create. If you want flexibility in your life, and that's usually why entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs, they want flexibility, autonomy. You have to become self disciplined. The more self discipline you have, the more boundaries you have over things you say yes to and things you say no to. And, that opens up a lot of more space and opportunity to the things that you really value and in the long term are going to make you very fulfilled with what you have created. So that's number two. Number three, I would say consistency. There's going to be times where you don't feel like doing what needs to be done. And I always try to be consistent, and something I urge all my clients to be consistent no matter how you feel. Even like show up the day you may not have your 100% energy into what you're trying to create that day, but if you can put even 20%, 50%, like it's important. Why? Because it creates that momentum in your mind that you showed up and you gave an effort no matter how you felt that day. And, for us parents, it is challenging because sometimes the child doesn't sleep at night and you wake up and you're tired and you don't want to do it, or you just don't feel like it, whatever the case may be. Right. So be consistent. And you definitely see me do that. Isabella goes to bed and you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm creating content for the next day. Why now? Right. Like we could just kind of hang out on the couch. Well, because tomorrow's going to be a new day and I'm going to need that content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So the self-belief, I guess that's where highest self-love comes from, right? The name, because that's, you want to lead, or at least, that's your intention, right? To lead with the name, to say, look, you got to believe in yourself. Because why do you have to believe in yourself? Ultimately, I mean, I think I'm asking myself the question, but like, why do you believe in yourself? Because it's not always going to be easy. And actually it's the other way around. And most of the time it's hard. And if you don't believe in yourself, that's when you're likely to quit.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it's you versus you. It's not you versus the other person or the other competitor in your industry. It's you looking in the mirror every morning and every night and asking yourself, did I do everything that I could do with the energy and the resources that I had today? Again, we all have different levels of energy, different levels of resources. And that's the thing that keeps me going. So, there are times even you have questioned me why I'm doing certain things. And, it's a beautiful thing how we are very different. I think that's creates the strength of our relationship. And, for those that don't know, we've been together now 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been a beautiful journey, and it comes with its challenges like every relationship. And at the end of the day, you still have a personal relationship with yourself. And I think that's why we're, talking about this today, because there is a side of entrepreneurship that, often kind of doesn't get talked about, but what is behind a successful entrepreneurship, entrepreneur, and that is the relationship that you have with those closest around you. And as you're trying to create something as an entrepreneur, you're spending all your time in your business, and your business becomes like your baby, right? And we see a lot of relationships, during the uphill stage sometimes fall apart. And so what I've come to understand is that we all are experiencing and going through our own journey. And I think it's so important to support your spouse on their journey. Like, the way I see it is, let's say in 50 years, I don't want you to regret that you didn't start your business and, really explore what you could have accomplished, because let's say I wanted to feel secure and I, was holding you back. I think it's so important for you to really go after your dreams and grow as a person in your journey. And then we have a journey together as a family, and we grow as a family. So I water you, you water me, we water each other, and we grow together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Okay, so on that, like us being different people, quite a bit different when it comes to risk taking. I think that's an important one, right? Like when it comes to risk taking, we're like complete different. So, think in your recent experience, okay, or not even recent, it could go back, but like other than marrying me, what other major risks have you taken in life?
Yeah, for sure. I think, as a woman, there's a lot of risks that, yeah, we take. And often a big one is, are we or do we get involved with the right person? And again, that comes down to how you feel in the relationship. And, I definitely felt very special with you right from the beginning. Sorry, what was the exact question?
Well, like what, like other than marrying me, because we know that that's a huge risk.
Yes.
Other than marrying me, what's the risk that you've had to take, like over the last couple of years that wasn't me pushing you to take the risk, but something that you've done on your own? Because we know that I'm the one that's always pushing us to move along and to take risks and to do like, shady stuff.
Shady stuff. What do you mean by shady stuff? I think Vuk is referring to, some of the investments that we've made. Vuk is more riskier investor in trying new things, and I'm a more conservative investor. And over the years, you have definitely made me uncomfortable for short term and pushed me to, out of my boundaries, right? And I'm very thankful, because if it wasn't for your, gentle nudging to try different types of investments, I would have never experienced the type of growth that we have, given that I was just, trucking along in my little conservative mutual fund type of investments. Like, we all know the returns on those. And, so I think that's definitely something that was a big risk for me, and still it is. And we continue to push ourself out of our comfort zones. And it's happening all the time. And, I think you have to have kind of opposite people in relationships to strengthen each other in different ways.
Yeah. So essentially what you're saying is the biggest risks you've taken are because of me, or, the things that I've kind of pushed you into, because you've always been relatively conservative. And I think that's, I need that. I need somebody at home who is like, who's stable, who's not like, who's not going to be shaken and stirred by markets and the way they move, and and just like the overall like atmosphere, as somebody who runs their own business, where like every day you wake up and like Narcissus says, like, and every day you wake up you're unemployed because you got to go out there and like chase that business. So having you at home being a solid kind of footing to keep me sane has been huge. And maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, because if we were both the same, if we both were wild and kind of did what we felt was necessary, then maybe we wouldn't have as much stability. Maybe we wouldn't have been together or been able to stay together for so long, because maybe I would have driven you crazy or vice versa. But being us having our individual personalities, I think has been good for me and you. And so then, I want to kind of segue into my next question, which is really like, how do you assess risk? So we know that you're pretty kind of safe with your decisions. But let's say when I bring up something like, for example, when we bought our first condo, or when we went to, for example, let's talk about when we just sold the condo, and we made some money. And my first thought was, we got to invest this money again. But you weren't so sure. You're like, well, I don't know where this thing's going to go. Maybe we should step back. So what drove your decision to think to be a little bit more conservative? And then what was it that I said that made you feel like, okay, we should probably invest this money as opposed to sit on it and wait?
Yeah. And I think, and this is how, we're very different, because I typically don't jump into anything. And I like to give myself ample time to think about something. And that is beneficial. But at the same time, the other flip side of the situation is that the markets, like, you have to jump in. And it never really quite seems like it's the right time. And so for me and my personality, because I have to sit on things, I have to sleep on it, I have to, think about it some more, I have to see how I'm feeling. We women are very emotional. And, sometimes, and I think that's the beautiful thing, we need that masculine energy to be like, okay, let's do this. I think this is a good investment. I've done the homework. And this is what, I always say this is why it's so important to have those advisors in your life. It could be a spouse, but not really. It could be a friend, or, someone you trust, to really, if you feel that you trust them and they know what they're doing, to help you along that journey, because they spend, all their waking hours investigating and learning about that particular industry or that opportunity. So, I just needed you to like decide something. And the thing is, the other flip side of this is that you just have to commit to something and see how it goes. I think too many people are always on the fence. I don't know, it's not the right time. I want to wait. The market's not right. All of this. And then what happens? 3 months later, prices on properties or investments have increased, and you're still standing on the fence. So sometimes the way I operate is like, make a decision, make a commitment, and figure it out from there.
Well, I mean, I'm very happy to hear you say that, and I'm gonna bring this recording up every time every time you want to doubt me and say no. I think we should wait and think about it. I'm gonna bring this up, but yeah, no, absolutely. Like, there's obviously got to be a level of due diligence that you would have done before you make your decision. But yeah, you're never gonna know everything. You'll never know that it's the right move. You got to do it. But you have to have conviction. It's got to be back with conviction. And at the end of the day, right? Like, we talked about this so many times, but like, if things don't work out, I mean, you can always change course, change decision. That was probably my biggest hurdle, I think, that you probably noticed, when I got into real estate full time and I started, like, things were going well. And then all of a sudden they weren't, and things were difficult, right? I was super upset because I didn't want to go backwards. Like, I didn't want to, in my own mind, become a failure and have to go and revert backwards. And I had a really difficult time, like, accepting that might be what I need to do. And you were pretty good at like, supporting me and saying that, hey, look, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, just because you have to take a step back and reassess isn't going to kill you. So, I mean, I thank you. I thank you for, like, I appreciate the fact that you had the wisdom to tell me that. And I think you were faced with your own kind of, decision to maybe have to step back and then move forward. So, tell me, what advice would you give to somebody today who is not feeling so confident, they don't have as much confidence in themselves, but they've thought about doing something, but they're also hearing, and they're seeing, a lot of doubt. What advice would you tell them on taking that step forward, and getting over that hurdle?
So I think confidence comes from following through with what you say you're going to do. For example, and this starts very small, and this is how you build confidence. But say you make a commitment to yourself that you're going to wake up at 6 a.m. and do a workout every day. And let's say you don't follow through. Your self-confidence is going to diminish. You made a commitment to yourself and you didn't follow through. So the first steps is to follow through on your commitments to yourself, first and foremost. Again, why? Because at the end of the day, it's you versus you. You're going to have to sit down. You're going to have to buckle in, do the work in order to go forward with your goals, with what you want to create. And I understand the state of affairs in the world can make us feel anxious right now. And often when we feel anxious, we want to wait it out. We want to wait it out. Perhaps there'll be better times around the corner. But the thing is, when? In a day, in a week, in a month, in 3 months? We actually never really quite know. And the truth is, it's never the right time to start. And often during times like now, when we might think that it's not the right time, it actually is. Why? Because when things are rocky in the world, that means other people need guidance. Mm-hmm. And this is the perfect time to enter, whether, you're an agent in real estate, or you're a coach, or you're a healer, or you're a teacher. There is lots of opportunity. So this goes back to our earlier points on self-belief in what you can bring to the world. So self-belief, I can do it. I have this wonderful quality of helping people and listening and guiding, and self-confidence that you made a commitment and you followed through. And if you do this every day, and this can be very small wins, every day, you'll build that confidence because you know it. Every day you showed up. No matter how you felt, you showed up. And then in the end, when you look back in a year, you'll see, whoa, like I've made progress. And it's, life is a salsa dance. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And we go, I think the biggest inspiration for me is, seeing how nature moves courses. And, we as humans want to move at the speed of technology. And it's just not really possible, right? So see how nature moves. It moves quite slow, yet everything is accomplished. I think that's important to recognize. You can move slow. You can move in the direction that you're supposed to, that you feel most guided towards, and everything in the end will be accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, that's not my style. My style is like I got to get everything done like yesterday, and when I'm not seeing my like progress, or if I don't see my like the results of my efforts, then I start getting all frustrated and upset, and you see me around the house mumbling, to myself. So like, it's good to hear you say it again, and patience is important. And then, like you said, I mean, everything will get done as long as you're consistent, persistent, and you have that self-belief. That's huge. And okay, cool. Well, that was fun. That was definitely different. And now we're gonna get into putting you on the spot and seeing what you have to say. So, all right, first question: how many pull-ups and how many push-ups, my love, can you do?
Certainly more than you. No, I mean, you know what? I could do 3 sets of push-ups in heels, easy. Now pull-ups.
3 sets of push-ups?
I can do 3 sets of 15.
3 push-ups. Sets? No. How many can you do like in one shot? As many as you can to like fatigue.
25. 25 push-ups in heels.
In heels.
Okay,
I gotta see this.
Yeah. Pull-ups is a little bit more challenging for me, as you know, to have incredible upper body strength. It does require work. I could do assisted pull-ups, 15. I could do assisted 15 pull-ups. Non-assisted, I could probably do 3.
All right. Well, those are okay numbers. Those are okay numbers.
I could do a lot of squats.
The push-ups are good.
What about squats?
Yeah, but squats are different because like squats are easier to do than a pull-up is, for example.
Well, there's certainly exercises I can do that you can't do.
Okay, well, this is not a competition. I was just asking you. Okay. All right. Next question. Okay. If you had $150,000, okay, sitting in a bank account, and it was, earmarked for an investment, okay, right now with everything that you know and that you see, where would you put that money?
I would probably put it in cryptocurrencies. I think that's something that we are expanding our portfolio in. And, I mean, we've been in real estate for quite a few years, and that's great. And where, I see the world going is cryptocurrencies. And I feel there's always knowledge that I want to absorb. And it seems, every time I look at the Bitcoin and the other currencies, they're always like, they always like skyrocket overnight. And I feel like now is the time to get in. I mean, anytime, but even if you have like 10 or 20% in there, still better than not having anything in there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, now is definitely a good time because all cryptos have come in like 50, 60, 70% from their recent highs. So it's like you're basically buying everything for half price of what it was, 3 months ago.
Yeah. And, I've been joking around for a while. Some women buy Birkins and some women buy Bitcoin, but I think it's important to shed light on this too. I think, as young women and, certainly I think every woman likes fashion and the latest bags and shoes and things like that. But, in terms of investments, I've really seen growing up how, women blow money on the wrong things. So I think it's important to cultivate that, assessment. What is an asset versus what is a liability? And often, I guess it can be argued that, certain designer handbags can't be an asset, but, in the end, I think it's not the best investment. So, even let's say you're 20 years old and you have, I don't know, $5,000, I would probably recommend you consider putting them in some kind of, investment, whether it's cryptocurrency or start, saving money for down payment for a condo versus, blowing money on something that's going to depreciate in a year.
Yeah, but you also got to have fun, and you can't forget that when you're 20, you don't really spend that much time thinking about your portfolio and your investments. You're just out there have a good time. But I agree, like split it up and make sure that for every frivolous thing you spend money on, you're also spending it or you're also investing it on something that's long term. And when you say cryptocurrency, I mean, you don't want to just go out there and buy any cryptocurrency because there's like thousands of them now. And I bet you half of them aren't going to be around in a couple of years. But there's a few key staples that have a real world, real use case that it's hard to see them disappearing with the level of adoption that we've seen. So no, it's good advice. It's good advice.
Yeah. And, this goes back to your earlier question, which I feel perhaps I didn't answer quite clearly, but how do I assess risk? And I would say, the key thing in assessing risk is should any investment kind of, I say, hit the wall, are you able to take that hit? And often, it's not only a financial hit, but are you able to take that hit mentally, physically, and yes, financially and emotionally, right? Because that's the biggest hit. Saying you make an investment, it doesn't go as expected.
Mm-hmm.
How quick are you able to bounce back emotionally and perhaps move past it?
Mm-hmm.
Because time is money. And if you spend 3 months in the rock bottom, that's 3 months of your health that you're going to have to recuperate in order to get back out and have a positive and optimistic mindset going forward.
True. Yeah. Yeah, you raised some good questions. I mean,
so that's how I assess risk. It's a holistic approach. I think we as humans, some of us tend to look at things quite just financially. It's not just financially, it's emotionally, physically. You have to feel good with the decision you're making.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I'm glad we're having this conversation because it's reminding me of all the reasons why I married you. Not like I forgot, but still. All right, last question, and I'm going to try to trick you here. Okay. This is the trick question, and you ready?
Okay.
Okay, think about it. Ready?
Okay.
What are 2 things, and because I know that you love to cook, you're a foodie, this is a good one. What are 2 things that you can never eat for breakfast?
Something that's not edible. One.
What are 2 things that you can never eat for breakfast?
Yeah, I'm telling you, something that's not edible.
Okay.
And something that is expired. I mean, technically you can try, but probably don't want to go down that road.
But you can eat something that's not edible, or you can try to. You can swallow glass. You can eat something that's expired, and you can just get sick. So what are 2 things you can't eat?
I don't know.
It's a hard one. Okay, the two things you can't ever eat for breakfast are lunch and dinner.
Oh boy. However, I would like to raise a
Always,
point
you always
that
have to raise a
I
point.
do. Ladies, raise your hands. You know, I think traditionally, and you know, I think that's the whole point of having conversations, you know, is to, you know, so traditionally, maybe some foods were typical breakfast items. And these were often, let's say, cereal, milk, pastries,
Eggs and bacon.
and yeah, eggs and bacon, sure. But, you know, sometimes we want to just heat up leftover dinners for breakfast, and that is just as good.
Mm-hmm.
And often it could be even healthier.
Mm.
So you don't have to do what is the status quo and eat only breakfast items for breakfast. You can have vegetables or steak for breakfast. That's healthy. That's not going to send your blood sugar into a roller coaster. And as we know, energy is the true currency if we're trying to create a business, sustain our energy, and not crash in 2 hours.
Yeah, listen, you bring up another very valid point. And again, you know, thank you. Thank you for having a different perspective. Okay. So this is a good to talk. I think maybe we'll do this again. And look, if anybody out there, you know, wants to get a different perspective on what they're doing and want some wise words of wisdom, I can tell you that, you know, my wife here, she definitely has a lot of that. And, you know, seeing things from a different perspective is very important. And I'm very lucky to have you. And
you are.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky to have you.
It's cool. That's cool.
So thank you for having me on. No risk, no glory.
No risk, no glory. That's it.
Thank you to everyone for taking the time to listen. And we look forward to having more of these discussions.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.